World War I started when Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. They attacked Serbia because a Serb had assassinated the heir to the throne, and so an ultimatum was sent demanding Serbia become a puppet because it was apparently a place where rebels and terrorists could grow. Russia was unwilling to let Austria dominate the Balkans. They had been slowly influencing the area and had a cultural and religious bond with Serbia. They gave an ultimatum to Austria-Hungary demanding they start negotiating or they would attack. Unfortunately, Germany and Austria had signed a secret alliance protecting against this very thing because they believed one day Russia would become unstoppable. Germany preemptively declared war on Russia. Russia was allied to France, and instead of waiting for them to attack, Germany declared war on France first. To outflank the French army, Germany needed to go through Belgium and Luxembourg, so they invaded. So Germany had brought multiple people into the war, two of which were about to join anyway. From this, Germany began to formulate its post-war plans to dominate Europe. These included stripping key territories from Russia, controlling Belgium, and seizing rich parts of France. Germany also planned to take huge parts of Africa from France, Belgium, and later on, Britain. Unfortunately, all the big European powers in the year 1839 guaranteed the independence of Belgium to protect it from the Netherlands. By 1914, Germany was unsure if anybody really took this seriously, but they learned very quickly that they did. Britain declared war on Germany, citing the treaty, and it was a convenient excuse to help defend France and prevent German control over Western Europe. As a result, the British Empire, including India, Canada, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand, also entered the war. Montenegro joined the war because it was allied with Serbia and had cultural solidarity with them. Should Serbia be destroyed, Montenegro would surely be next. That's the basic setup of World War I. Now we get to the interesting ones. Just about a month into World War I, Japan entered the war. It had two paths. It could attack the sizable Entente position in Asia or the easy German one. So it sided with Britain and seized German colonies. Japan wanted to continue its rise to great power status and hoped to sit at the big boy table, which it did. Yippee! The Ottoman Empire had been increasingly pro-German in the opening stages of the 20th century. They had signed treaties with the Germans, but when the war began, opted to negotiate with both sides for the best outcome. They seriously feared absolute destruction from a Russian-British invasion and so wanted to stave off war. However, as Russia began to falter against Germany, the Ottomans became a little more open to warfare, but were still unsure. Germany made the decision for them. To maintain neutrality, the Ottomans closed the straits to everyone. Two German ships were under pursuit by the British Navy and requested access to escape. Under pressure, the Ottomans allowed the Germans to pass through so long as they changed flags to technically be Ottoman ships instead of German. Now flying the Ottoman flag, the German ships sailed into the Black Sea and promptly attacked the Russians. The Russian emperor woke up one morning to the news that his fleet simply didn't exist anymore because of some Turks, and he opted to kill them all. So now the Ottoman Empire was in World War I in the Central Powers, whether it liked it or not. The next country to join was Italy. Italy had always been allied with Germany and Austria, but came to the conclusion that it didn't actually have that much to gain from this alliance. Sure, it could take some bits of France, but it had a lot more claims on the lands of Austria-Hungary and had already beat them once before, so they thought, why not? Britain promised them a bunch of territory, and so they joined the Entente. Next up was Bulgaria, who had an ethnically Austrian ruler. They had taken a bunch of land in the First Balkan War and then lost a bunch in the Second Balkan War, including to Serbia, and was seen as being increasingly pro-German. So now with a weak Russia and a friendly Ottomans, they had not much to fear, and they entered the war and helped to decisively defeat Serbia. They wanted to recover much of the territory they had won initially and to improve their position in the Balkans. Portugal had been allied with England since the 14th century when the world looked like this. When the war broke out, Portugal's pro-British nature resulted in them being targeted by German colonial troops. Portugal also relied heavily on trade with Britain, so Germany's sinking British ships was hurting them. Eventually, Portugal decided to capture all the German ships within its ports to protect its economy, resulting in Germany declaring war on them. This next group were done dirty, the Arabs. They sided with the Entente and fought to liberate themselves and form a big Arabia, so they attacked the Ottomans. What they did not know was that Britain and France had already agreed to divide the territory between themselves, and Britain had also promised this part to the Jews. So the Arabs got barely anything they fought for, and the Entente simply used them. A fun little country to join was Greece. They had spent the last 100 years slowly taking back territory from the Ottomans and wanted to complete the process. The king favoured neutrality, but the prime minister favoured the Entente, and many people in society wanted a greater Greece. When Serbia was overrun, the Entente soldiers demanded access to Greece, which upset the Central Powers, and while Greece protested, they were very reliant on Entente trade. Greece withdrew from its border area and allowed the two sides to fight it out in a desperate attempt to stay neutral. But the Central Powers started making gains. It was embarrassing to give up so much of the country without a fight, and so the king resigned, giving the prime minister full control, and Greece joined the war for the Entente. Now this next country, I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but Romania joined the Entente and somehow came out on top. In the middle of 1916 when they joined, the only friendly country on their borders was Russia, who was being beaten up. Romania had claims on two areas, Transylvania, ruled by the Central Powers, and Bessarabia, ruled by the Entente. So they could have reasonably been swayed to either side, but they chose the Entente. This did not go well. They were overrun and surrendered at the end of 1917. The peace treaty saw them actually end up with more territory as Germany bought their loyalty with Bessarabia, which had just been taken from Russia, while only losing a little bit to Bulgaria and Austria. Despite this, they re-entered the war one day before it ended, again on the side of Britain, and were awarded all of the land they had lost, plus all the claims against the Central Powers, and were allowed to keep Bessarabia. So somehow, Romania got the best deal out of World War I, getting stuff from both sides. China was basically forced to join the Entente from its position. All the land it had lost to Europeans was now in the hands of the Entente, and if they joined the Central Powers to take it back, they would get absolutely smashed by India, Russia, and Japan. Many Chinese workers had been killed by German subs attacking Entente shipping, as many were working in Europe at the time. This was upsetting, so they sided with the Entente. They also did not want Japan to expand its influence on the Chinese coast unchecked, and joined the Entente to try to have the German territory given to China instead of Japan, who actually captured it. They were not successful, and they were not allowed to sit at the big boys' table. Now we come to the final country in our list. The big one. America. Why did the USA join the First World War? It's a debated issue, but a few main considerations need to be discussed. The most prominent of these is direct attacks against America and Americans by the Central Powers. Many American citizens died in shipping attacks, most famously during the attack against the Lusitania, which was an unarmed passenger liner. This was compounded with spies committing terrorism against American industry to prevent them selling weapons to the Entente, especially the massive explosion in New York City which caused tens of millions of dollars worth of damage. One day in 1917, the president of Mexico was chilling when he got a message saying, "Mexico, how would you like to conquer Texas for the Kaiser?" What? When this was leaked to the Americans, they got a little bit upset. Finally, there was the financial element to the whole thing. American businessmen had seen the great potential to make money by giving loans to the Entente and increasingly selling products to them. Many people believed the Entente could lose the war, and if Germany dominated Europe, they would lose their markets and be unable to recover the loans. The overexposure of Wall Street to the Entente meant that a German victory could crash the American economy, and so America was prompted further to help defeat Germany. They joined the Entente in 1917. Several other countries in the Americas like Cuba and Panama joined the alliance at the same time. So there we have it, everyone in World War I for their own special reasons. Okay, that's the video, thank you for watching, please like and subscribe, I hope you learned a lot in this one, and I will see you in the next one.